Well, good evening and great to be here, and thank you for all coming. So just to start with water, I think just a statistic that there's around 1,200 million people in the world that don't have access to water, which is kind of an astounding statistic, really. I mean, you know, we're in 2014 with all of the technology and know-how at our fingertips that we have, and there's still you know, about a seventh of the world's population that don't have access to clean water. It's incredible, and something that we have to change. And I think here it's interesting because in California, I understand there's a lot of water problems right now and always have been. And I think it's not just that people don't have access to water in these countries, is that also where we have access to water, increasingly it's under threat. So I think it's a really important time to be thinking about water and how we use it, and how to use it more effectively. So between 1996 and 2014, between the different appropriate technology projects that Concern America have been running, there have been approximately 240 water supply systems built. So that would include gravity flow, gravity fed systems, pump systems, rainwater catchment systems, which would reach directly around 67,000 people. The average cost for a system, obviously, is very relative, but would be around $6,000. So material costs would be about $6,000. So if you think a 50-family community, for $6,000, that's about $120 per family. That can get clean water to 50 families for about 15 years, or maybe more. It's really not that much. I mean, obviously there are lots of other costs involved in the project, but from material costs, it's a pretty cost-effective way of getting clean water to people. And of course, as far as possible, we've tried to make sure all the projects are technologically very simple, so that they're simple to use and they're simple to fix, so that people in the communities know how to fix a pipe, and they don't have to depend on anybody else. And we always make sure that there's a local committee of people who maintain the systems. So the water systems, the first steps would be meetings with the communities, discussing their needs, water sources. We would then do a topographic survey. We also spent some time training people in the communities to use the theodolites and computers to do the designs of the system. These are kids that haven't really got beyond primary school in most cases, but it's always amazing to see how quickly they all kind of got onto this stuff, you know, started using computers and reading, and you realise that the only thing that really separates people here who've been through university and people in those communities is just the opportunities. There's nothing more than that. So it's great also to be a part of giving people those opportunities to learn. So the first step in the systems would be doing the surveys, designing them, drawing up the budgets, meeting with the communities, having agreements, lots of meetings, everything decided collectively, which is really important, and always quite complex in terms of the ownership of, let's say, a spring is on a hill here and the community's here, and there's 3 different people who own land where the pipe's going to come down. So lots of negotiations about, okay, but can we put the pipe through here, or will we have to go down here, or are you going to have to pay, and what happens if in 5 years' time they say that the spring's theirs? You know, so all of the kind of politics and complexities of water, you know, would come out in these projects, and you know, you realise how precious a resource water is, and how easy it is for it to become a source of conflict. So, you know, a lot of the communities we worked in were very good at negotiating, and we also had to learn very quickly to take a part in that discreetly. So we would do all the surveys, designs of the system, and then And then the back-breaking work would begin of opening up the path where the pipes were going to go, lots of digging, carrying materials, either on people's backs or with horses. I think there was one system we did at this photograph where you could see the spring on the hillside, and there was 270 people working, digging the trench from the spring down to the community, and you could see this sort of snake, like of ants, which looked like from a distance of people with picks digging this trench, and it was incredible because it was like in about 8 hours they dug just under 2 kilometers of trench.
Wow.
Because obviously there's no machinery and it's all done by hand. So here's just a few photos of some of the systems. This would be a typical spring with the water rising here, with a captation tank in front, which would then pipe the water down from a spring down to a larger storage tank, and from the storage tank it would then be piped down to people's houses. So in the mountainous regions of Chiapas and Ecuador, this was quite easy because there's lots of springs higher up, and you could just gravity flow water down. Here's just a few photographs of the trenches with the pipe work, a typical bridge crossing, which would be taking the water down from the springs to the tanks. Storage tanks where the water would come in from the spring, and this one we built with a kind of vaulted brick roof. And inevitably they'd want to paint it and do some murals on the tanks, so that would get all the kids involved. And the end result is this, water coming out of a tap, which you kind of take for granted, because when it comes out of the tap it's just there, and then when it doesn't come out of the tap, then you kind of start to appreciate it. And it's quite simple, but it's an amazing thing to have water coming out of a tap. And when you go to these communities and you go the first time and you work and there's no water, and you finish work and you want to have a shower, you just wash your hands and there's no water, it's kind of like, you really appreciate it. So of course the final step, and a very important one, is always the fiesta, the celebration of the water system. So here is a photo of one of the communities where we've done a system. Everyone in their traditional dress, the band gets the instruments out. The water tank is all adorned with all kinds of plants and foliage, and there's usually a cow or some animals being killed the night before, and a big stew and big celebration. So, which involves a ceremony by the springs with lots of different traditional indigenous